This is good. This is good. Okay. All right. So we'll be checking news later. That is what we are planning. All right. News later. Yeah. We check that. We check that. Yeah, there's something that was happening. Yeah. I'm glad you're here. Because now today is on Friday, so I'm trying to I think today is Friday. Happy new month. It's August. Let's hope this month is actually going to bring more fruits. We are going to get things clearly, and now the market shifting. This was yesterday. Yep. I hope this month now brings things clearly. Like the past few weeks, things have not been easy because, as we were saying, the prices were trying to shift. We are getting to the shifting direction. So if we're joining this, I'll sure that we can communicate there on the chat. But let's communicate on the chat and ensure that you like these. It's very important. Checking on the ground, you can see what is really happening here. As well trying to connect things here, to connect the dots. This is amazing. This is good. Good trending at 32.86. Yeah. I don't know how many remember yesterday but the price that we were talking about. I want to check. All right. Things are really changing very fast. Do you know actually how the Euro USD is moving right now? Is actually moving almost the same direction now to the prices of is moving the same how the gold is actually moving. This is crazy. Things are really changing, and for gold, and I think now we are almost clear to the point. Now this is what we are talking about yesterday. To just do a quick on this, it was very simple. This market, we're waiting for it to come to this zone, of which is actually achieved all here, because remember we were talking about this zone that we drew here. That was yesterday, and you are saying that indeed this market is actually going to come down. And trust me, this is the region that we are talking about, but remember it was achieved this one. And trust me, we are actually going to move probably even lower like that, because now you can see the market is indeed now determined to move, and probably we are going to move all the way down to this point here. Okay, we are going to move probably all the way down. Now, that is what we saw from the gold yesterday, and I think it was really achieved here, because now we touched the price. I think we were talking when the prices were here. We were talking when the prices were around 15.0807, and the prices actually went all the way to 14, and now you can see that move from all the way to this point to 81. I think that was good. That was good for yesterday, and the prices that we really got there, I think that was amazing. Those are the things that we saw from yesterday analysis. Now, where are we ending today? Because we can see the moves is still clear, and from that you can really see is that we might be getting now things clearer, the way we are talking. Remember, we are talking about the shift, and now the shift is confirming. So if it's confirmed yesterday that this market is actually reversing across this area here, if the market could actually went all the way probably to 38 there, then things could have changed, and we would have said that indeed things have not really gone, because now the gold is becoming tricky and more tricky. But at least you can see after this move, now the market moved down, which means now the price actually might be now be back to the direction. And all we just want is just one thing. It's not actually to just get accuracy, it's just to confirm that indeed we are moving to the prices, we are indeed moving to where the market is shifting, and we want to be clear on that. I want to start by daily time frame so that we can see what we have here, so that we can see if we are done with the downwards move. Are we really done? Because this is daily time frame. How is this candle going to react? Of course, this is reversed here around 14. That is the move that you see, and of course the market not to go all through this way. Now we are talking about 86, and remember the market is the time we achieved around 68. So 86 is to that price. I think it's almost very close. We are very close to that point. We are almost very close. So the candle that we see forming here is actually going to again, as you can see, this move after achieving this market moving. I think we are not done. Although this region matters a lot, after the market achieving this result here, which is actually very important, because now if we get to this region that you see here, from this area here, all of this one, including the shadows, then we can say indeed this market is actually trying to get all this way. But when we go to the lowest time frame, probably we are going to see things clearly, so that we can know what to use to determine this, to know, are we really done with this? Because this was actually a very good testing point. Are we done with this move? Because now you can see a very good testing point, 68, 69, a very good testing point where this market actually tested this area here. Are we done with this move, or still we can be waiting for this market to come down and move all the way through downside? This region matters, as you can see. But this one thing that you have to know, in case gold start moving up, of which probably it might, of which that at that time we're going to ignore this trend. Okay, this is another scenario. In case we are going, I want to remove some of things here so that I can show you what might happen, probably in the next like 2 or maybe throughout this month, because today is the 1st of August. Of what we might be getting from these prices, not just good to stay shallow, it's always good to stay ahead of things to know how things are really moving. There's one thing that you have to notice. There's one thing that you have to know from this market. The market on a highest note, as you can see from this market, still gold is still up. Okay, the gold is still up. I want to confuse you a little bit, but to give you a clear answer, the gold is still up. Why? Because on the highest time frame, you can see how the market was actually moving, and we don't yet have a clear break on the highest time frame, of which means, just look at this, the market moving, touching the highest here, of which is actually produced almost 3,500, went back, produced another 34, 40, another one here 34.45, making this a high rejection point. Okay, I want us to start from there. Make sure that you follow this keenly. It's very simple but to the point. If you will be having question, make sure that you comment it on the chat. I will be checking later, but let's just do this. That is a move that you see from gold, how it has actually been moving just like that. And Generally, there are some people who will be talking about this area here being, I don't know, accumulation phase and all that, because now the market is trying to move. Like, if you look, for example, how this market is moving here, like from this zone here, the prices actually might even try to jump up. But you know, these things are very, the prices that the highest time frame is very funny, because one thing that you have to notice, we are in the daily time frame. So when I talk about the price is jumping up, remember this price can actually come even to 62, because it's still the same position that we are talking about here. Prices can actually become to 60. So this is the same region that you see here. So when you go to the like 1 hour time frame and they say probably the prices are going to move down and all that, and maybe later you can see the prices jumping up, that's a difference. So that's why you have to understand between the highest time frame, what information are you getting from both. And there's one thing that you have to notice is you have to realize where this market generally is moving. And the biggest friend of yours, I really want you to engage highest time frame, because they can actually help you so much. Because the lowest time frame, sometimes they get the noise, and they can give you some the information that probably you would never like. Okay, let me remove something here so that we can be clear. Okay, now look at this. Now that is how the market is actually moving. Still, as you can see, it's just very clear. Still, gold is moving up. Gold is still on the move. Gold is still on the move. Gold is still on the move. And from this point here, achieving all the way, it's just taking the entry from 25th of April. I think it is almost, I think almost the whole of this year, the market has actually been moving, and you can see from April 4th, we have been getting this region being trend. And trust me, we have this for, I know this becomes high resistance. Sometimes you see this move, for example, this becoming high. Now this becomes one of we let's make it a famous resistance that is happening here. This is a famous one, a famous high resistance zone, of which now if this market now tries to move up again, I don't think there is any reason that when this market comes to this region fails to break through, because it will be so many attempts, and in case we fail that round, I don't think actually is actually even going to fail, because I know the market is actually going to break it. Absolutely, absolutely, the market will actually be breaking it all the way up, and probably that is the time we might be having new highs, or maybe the market forming a new high. It has been tricky now trying to get how now the market has been trying to shift, and using the lowest time frame, we'll be going there and see up to which point is this market actually going to move down, as up to which levels. And one of the levels that the lowest that we actually have to achieve from this market is absolutely 3250. That 250. In case we break that 250, then we can actually move to that 140. Highly also very likely, because already this market is moving just like that. But there is on the highest note, I don't think we have a clear, I don't know whether you understand this. On the highest note, I want to clear everything so that we can start again afresh. On the highest note, just look at this. The market just moving like that. This is highest time frame. Probably if we move to like weekly, you're going to see things even more better. Just look at this. Look at that. I know so many people of you have actually never even checked on the weekly time frame. Yeah. Have you ever checked a weekly time frame to see what is happening? It's very critical as well because it can give you some information of what might be happening to the market or what is actually going to come so that you can be prepared. And there's one thing that you need to notice here is that every time the market has moved, we have been getting the prices, and market has been good in generally. And you see this, look, the market is still moving on the highest note. I'm saying about the honest. Remember now, when we talk about weekly time frame, it means that this candle is actually going to close. Like it's just opening and closing of each and every candle. I don't like going above there because I know it's something that can take years for the market to achieve some goals. But it's very important for you now to check those things so that you know how things are really moving. Just look at that. This is what you need to know because they can really affect you so badly in case you ignore them. If you look at this, the market actually achieved these targets here. Now look. And when you look at this clearly from this point here, the reason we are saying the market actually is trying even to sell, just look at that 270, that 268, that market achieved right here, and probably the testing point is in between these two candles that you see here, and throughout this candle actually is going to close. So next week we might be having another one that is going to have a clear look at that zone, because this zone that we are talking about here, you see, I want to go to the bottom of one and try to touch each, like this one, and that is more one. So the reason I said the prices actually, remember me talking about 4 hour time frame, the reason I was talking about the prices may try to come to this region, highly likely, because you can see that is where we have been testing the prices across here. But remember, today we have NFP, in case we are going to get and data that we're going to be getting today, probably that is the one that might be trying to move the prices to the levels that we be lighting today. So that is going to be very critical as well. It's actually going to close like every deal that we are going to discuss here today. So in case we are be waiting for these prices at least to touch 32.50, that will be very important. But remember, this is the lowest I really need from this market, because in case this market actually moves below this, there is another change for long term move that can really happen to this market. And if this candle actually closes below that, remember there's a difference between the market moving to a certain zone and the candle closing to that point. Those are two different things. The market can visit to a place, but does not mean it's actually going to it just broke that thing. It just moved to that place and just closed maybe in a brief different places. That's why you have to understand between shadows and closing point. Now, what do you see here is a price that actually might test this region around 32.15. That is the same thing that we have seen in daily time frame. In daily time frame, this zone that you see here between this candle, you see this week market testing this, and trust me, highest time frame, there's two things that can give you high confirmations. Number one is highest time frame, and number two is when the market is tested many times. And when we talk about many times, it's not that many times, because when you try many times, like 4 or 5 times, then highly likely the market can actually is going to go against that, like it's going to break that zone, or is going, when it comes to that point, it's actually going to break that zone very easy. Now that is what we are talking about here. Now look at this region here. That is the area that I'm talking about, because you can see for this market to stay up like we have been, we actually need to be this being minimum price that we are going to get here, and the price is $30 to that point. Yeah, we are $30. I'm not saying the price is going to move there. We can actually even get back to the places here for the market is, and even move even prices higher. Now that is what we see from weekly time frame. Now what is likely to happen, let's go to daily time frame and then we'll go to the lower time frame. Look at this line. This is the one that I drew in our time frame, so you can see how it is. This is daily, and you can see this clearly. So the reason we were talking about the market breaking out, is because we end this market that was moving like this. We end this market that was moving in a downside. I think it is almost like something like this. Yeah. This market was moving like that, I think, from this point here. Yeah, and this trend was so strong. This trend, very strong. This trend was very strong here. And the reason we talked about the market breaking here is because of, look at this, and you can see actually it was the reason I'm talking. You have to know when the trend or a resistance, or maybe when you identify these underblocks, you just need to know how many times that the market has tested some of those regions, because you can look, for example, even we can give this 1, 2, 3, 4, and here it comes to many times, and like 1, 2, 3 times, and fourth, 50 times, 60 time, and highly likely now you see how the market decided to do here. Now the region I'm talking about is here, this that you see here, a market that is trying to come all the way here. But what did you see from this candle? This market, look at this 34. I want us to again look at the daily time frame. So from this point, the market moved down, creating these candles, testing. Is, of course, I told you that is, of course, when another candle opens, it can actually move up and clear some gaps, and that's how the market moves. Can actually be the same like this. That's why yesterday we said the market actually might be reversing across this area here, and it touched this region and just decided to go back, and this gives us another vibe, because we've been going to the lowest time frame for 1 hour time frame to know what we are going to be getting from this candle between here, because I know there are so many candles here inside this 24-hour candle. Now the market is moving to know what we might be getting, because now we are 87 and the market is trying to move that way. So what normally happens, for example, today being on Friday, is when people normally notice that there's news coming at around 3:30, the market is normally like slow, because so many people they like, I will be showing you when that time arrives how I normally trade news, and that is the easiest thing. I think I'll just love it. I just love it. And there's something that is repeating yourself that I observed with the current news on how it's actually impacting the market. So it's becoming very easy to trade. Now look, we have not really achieved that, but this level here was achieved, and we have another candle that is trying to close here. So in case this market moves, it's actually going to move not above 14, but it can actually create new low that can actually go through all the way to 32.50. But this is the lowest that I may be expecting from this market for this time. Otherwise, probably things are going to change for a long time once again. So that is the last time we give this market a credit to move up. This is going to be the lowest point. Moving to 4-hour time frame. This now will actually help you in terms of structures. Like, just check out the structures, how the market is structuring itself after the breakout. So from this level, 33, 60, 38, 34, 38, that we got here in the breakout, you can see how the market has been moving clearly, simple, just like this. Now we have the market now testing this point again, and yeah, this is simple. here, the market just moves, gets the levels like this level here. Again, that is a level we are talking about yesterday in terms of 4-hour time frame. You see now candles now start becoming more, and now we have this candle. Now the problem that we have is this candle here that is trying to move below this, like an engulfing candle that is over here. This is 4-hour time frame above this. Now what we just wait is for that 181. You see this level here, at least this market to come to this level here, because this candle that you see here is actually in between. It can actually move because already this market have already covered this. So this level here, remember this is 3250, where we saying this is the lowest the market can achieve. I want to give you my theories. This is the lowest that we sent the market can actually achieve, around 3250. But checking on this market, how now it is moving, you can just check from this structure. It's just simple, moving down after the breakout, trying to move again up. 3344 went down, just retrace, recovering a little bit, another one here, and now you see this. So what are the chances that we have here? High chances that the market will be still continuing to move down all the way here. So that's why I'm giving this region a credit for the market actually to come around 3255. That is below 60, I think. Below 60, that is what we actually might be getting from these prices, and that could actually be a very good selling point. If you really know this area here, a very good selling point, because already on this market moved here back, trying to move up again as more one of these, and a good selling point here that happened here, and the market is now trying to move down. So the most important part that I have is this one. But in case there was I think we are somehow just late about this, but 33, that could actually be a good selling point in case you wanted to sell. And I think this candle was opening around 5 a.m. I know so many people in Kenya amkuwa mmeamka, sindio, at that time. Yeah, so this area here, so around that area, and I think yeah, this area is normally marked behind the scenes, that this area here, you see this selling point that is happening here, 32, 33. That is why we now testing these prices here, so that we can get this candle moving all the way down. So, and when, for example, you sell at 33 here, you put a stop loss at 17, and then you can give it a credit all the way to 50. And when these prices normally comes to around 81, you take a note of that. Like, you be very careful, because market can again test that and still. So the confirmation that we only have here, because the market is 70, so it's just $60, we want to see the market confirming and moving down to these levels here. Like, why these levels? Because I want to see it breaking below this 81 to get this confirmation here. It's very likely that we are actually moving there all the way to this point here. Okay, so now you are getting between my long-term perspective and the lowest time that I'm getting. Is you just combine to get just one thing. You just combine to get one thing. On the weekly time frame, we saw that 247 matters, and when this prices touches that, we still consider, because prices don't have to move. I'm not saying that we have to control the market, like it does not have to move below that, but at least for us to maintain, at least we say that prices might be moving up. Remember, at least we need to stay above 3250, above 3250, that we have to stay above that. That is one thing. And the signal that we get from this market is indeed like we're still moving, we are still moving down, and that's why there's a highly likelihood of this market is still to continue moving all the way to that 250 or that 250 likelihood, or that 3 below that 260. What I mean, highly likely. But I don't want this market to break this zone, because if it breaks that zone, we are going to talk another different story. Yeah, because the market might be trying to shift forever. But the shift that was happening after that breakout is to give us the lowest prices now, of which now after we get the prices now, and when this market actually comes here, assume now I want us to put this in scenarios here. If we get NFP pushing this market, probably we get a positive data. Okay? If we get positive, something positive, something very concrete, this is going to be of more advantage. Note this, because it's very important. So if this market is actually going to move to that zone that we are talking about, 3250, and we get an NFP that is going to be positive, we are going to display. I'm going to display that so that I tell you what we are going to do. I'm going to tell you what to do. This is my theory. This is my theory that I'm going to, I cannot tell you that exactly. Okay, 1 minute. Yeah, so if you are going to get non-farm employment change being positive, of which it can actually be, because it is predicting to be at 106, of which probably it can actually print even higher than that. All right, it can actually print higher than that, and unemployment rate can actually become slow, like something like that. There's something that some pattern I was observing on this, but the most important NFP and employment rate, those ones. If we get a positive data, I know what it's going to do is actually going to push this market all the way here. So what are we going to do when this market is pushed all the way to 3250, all the way to 3250, all the way to between this zone? That is what I'm talking about, 50, 45. This zone here, I want you to start buying immediately the prices touches those zone. Okay, you will start buying. This some different reason I like buying when the market actually prints this, because number one, when the market shorts, the market the market does not really stay so much on the downside. Like when the market sells, it's actually not going to stay. That's why known as short. It's not going. There's something that you have to realize, that the market that is selling does not really stay long compared to the market that is buying. Look at the gold, how now it's actually been doing. The gold and what has actually been doing. The market has been on bullish side, that's been moving up for a long time. But when it comes to the market moving down or bearish, on a bearish move, the market actually does not really like stay that long. That's why it's gone short. Don't get me wrong, that is the truth, if you really want to observe that. So bearish move does not actually last long, and bullish actually normally stay long. You can really observe that, because sometimes when you sell at the market that is moving so up, the highly likelihood that the market is not going to return. But if you buy from the market that's selling, there's highly likelihood the market is actually going to move up. So there are going to be a lot of advantage when this market comes to this zone here. So in case we break this and this market comes to 3252, these are actually going to be a very incredible prices where we are going to buy from this market. These are the regions that's where we are going to place buys on us that are going to last long, because if we get to those points, if we get to those levels, giving it to the lowest of 40 something there, then this market, if it rises, if it starts actually start moving up from that point, trust me, from the next week all the way through this month, we might be getting another high, probably of 36, 30 something. That is what we might be getting from this market. But from what we can see from this point here, is this market is not yet done to move down, but because already this market is already moved down by this big move that you see here from 96, you just give it sometimes for it probably even to come back to 90 something before you short this market. So you just don't chase the market, because if you start selling here, then you start becoming someone which is chasing the market. This was actually a very nice one, so you can wait for another. Probably if this market, I want to do to a 1 hour time frame so that we can get that clearly as well. Yeah, look at that. That's how this market is now be moving here. This is the region I'm talking about. Now you see, when you combine different time frames, they give you not different thing, but something that supports each other. Now I'm talking about this area here. See, at least 90 something, 92, 92. So, but the zone there is not actually that. The zones for the short is actually very close. So which one are you going? So there's some question normally I ask myself when I identify these areas between the highest point that this market can achieve of 34. Because I'm not a scalper, I'm not a trader, I can place my trend and just wait for 3 days, like even a whole week. So I'm not a day trader. I'm not going to open my trades and probably close. I have to wait many pips, so many pips, a lot of pips. I can have a risk reward ratio of 1 to 10, so that where every trade I even just lose one, then out of 10, if I just get one, I have to lose like almost 9 for me to be in a loss. So that's a very good vibe on my side. Now this area I'm talking about here. So if you see this market actually touching this market, actually might test this 92 or 91 before we move to this place here again, before we move to that place again. I think this is just to cover this color. So this market just checking from the highest time frame. The reason you normally, if you go to the lowest time frame, you are going to see a lot of noise that can actually confuse you. So I'll just enter and just observe the market on the 1 hour time frame. Most of the structures you can check on a 4 hour time frame. That is going to give you clear signs. So 90 is there, probably 92 can get a signal for the market that can actually sell to 52, of which that is very close compared to the sell in case this market can actually come to that point. So what I see is probably we can get the NFP selling this market. We might be getting a positive. We actually might get a positive data that can actually push this market towards downside, highly likely. And when we move to that point of 32.52 gold, it's just matters of seconds to achieve that before we move up. So now that is what I see, the market that can actually move to 32.52. But the biggest goal here is to determine, is this market after moving to this point going to move and create highs? Because we saw high rejection points happening around 34, around that, almost 35, where we have high resistance zone. So in case the market tries to come to that region, expect new highs of 35 something, a new high, all-time high. I'm doing ATH all-time high. Like gold has never reached them before. Then gold has never touched those prices before. And it's actually achieved 34, almost 90 something, almost 35, I think so. And this time probably when it goes to those areas might be getting there. But you can see it's a very big move on how gold is moving from 34 something all the way to 32. That's big moves. So if you are using smaller lot size, if you are using big lot size, that is hurting. That can hurt you so badly. That's dangerous, eh? So much of danger. So that is what I'm waiting to see. Some break, like deal breakers that I'm just creating there. That is what I'm going to be observing from this market. In case now we get up, but around 3, around 3:30, I think 3 p.m. I'll be live here so that we can um, get those details all together, right? So 3:30, we'll be here to check the news. No, be here to check the news. We'll be here to check the news. High impact, this is what we have today. High impact, that is what we have. Yeah. So you can see this year, almost this year of June, May, April, May, March, February, and January, we have throughout this year, actually, this is the lowest prediction that we got of 106. Prediction of 106 throughout this year of 106. Other resort has actually been higher than that. It's only in November 2024 that we got 12K. I think this moved market badly. This moved the market badly from the prediction from a forecast of 106 all the way to 12K. That was banned. That was banned. So, it's the same case that we see here. It's the same case, but I don't know. It's impossible for the market actually to do that. Just impossible. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So let's see what is going to be happening. I think this is the data that we have. I'll be looking in details because I'll be checking on some of things here to have some reasons. It's not reasoning. You just reason and to see if there is a pattern, some pattern. But it's very really hard to predict the news. Don't be lying to. It's very hard to predict and say that you're going to predict the news. It's already the predictors are not predicted there. Yeah. So, but you can actually have something to make sense around here. Then data always just be forming because there are a lot of things inside these details. You can go to the bureau, you can go to the graphs and check different things on how the market has actually been moving. And yeah, you can go to the revised bars and actually just know the pattern on how the market has been behaving. Using these patterns will be the same as trading forex history normally repeats itself, but when it comes to unemployment, it can only be to go or now to check the news. You can actually go to like the same here, different here, like 2023, 2024, and go to the July. So when you go to July, you can check what was actually happening on the July in terms of unemployment claims. What happened on the July, the same July, because that is the only thing. You cannot say what happened the next month is going to affect this month. No, it's only the matters of the year, because there's a season when maybe probably we are going to be getting high unemployment rates. You see, things are like that. Probably, like for example, when we check on which July of 2024, we saw a rise of positive here, and this is not good actually, because when we talk about unemployment, is the reason is normally written positive or green. It means that when there is a high unemployment rate, then what government normally do or the Fed will try to do is to come and increase the interest rate to cap that. And yeah, so at least it's things like that. Unemployment 272. That is what we got on July from a prediction of 182. So we got positive. That's normally happens on. I want us to go to another July. July. Okay, I mean August, not July. We got August. This was released on August 2nd. But this was from, if you get a data from June, that means it was from the previous month. So we have here 142 from August. This was for July now. This was August. This was lower. Let's see another August, a negative. August 5th. Yeah, I don't think there's a pattern here. I don't think there's a pattern here, but I'll try to look more. Yeah, because jobs and employment and jobs comes with the season, and season can come in months. Like there's a month when there is no job, there's a month there is no money. Those things, they can really happen here, and you can try to look for those patterns. There are a lot of things I normally check here, trying to know where the market actually might go. If the areas, I'm not really going to trend that, but it can just gives me to know when this market come to this area, then I'm ready to enter the trends. Yeah, so that is what I'm waiting to see, the market coming to this zone. So let's see how it's going to react again, because we are already here at 91. At 91. 91. Let me go to 30 minutes. 91. 91. 91. I want to see what is happening now. That is the time now you can go to even the lowest of the lowest. You can really humble here. This is now 5-minute time frame. This is the 92, 91 we're talking about. So you can check that on your PC, or maybe you need to observe those zones that we have enlightened today, to know whether we can just have some entries when we get the news, and through that analysis. I hope that just helped you for today. I'll see you later, probably exactly 3 p.m, so that we can analyze and know what the news is saying and what we might be getting from that market when that time comes. Okay, yeah, when that time comes, we'll see what we can do.